Up next, I'm thrilled to introduce you to a poet, Lissa.
When we talk about being change makers and community leaders, we often talk about the work that we're doing. What are the tangibles there? We don't always talk about how hard it can be to do that work. I wrote this poem for Wheelock College's Tough Enough campaign that seeks to define what it means to be tough enough to do this. All of the stories in the poem are stories from my peers while they worked with students and young people and older people in placements as they worked towards degrees in education and social work and worked towards changes like the changes that all of you are working towards now. I hope that some of these words, which have been helpful for me while I try to remind myself how to listen first, how to serve and not come in and try and save, I hope that some of these words can be helpful for all of you, especially as you move through this weekend with each other. Don't be afraid to talk about the hard moments in the work that you do, because those are just as important as the successes. Teachers, social workers, child life specialists, youth advocates, change agents, solution catalysts, helpers, some call us. But these are serving professions. Each person a student, also teacher, also guide. We are tough enough to learn to serve, and our ears must listen wide. A girl sits in a session silent, each scar from her past, another stitch on her closed lips. We must be patient enough to sit with her for 2 weeks in that silence, calm enough to bite back the urge to question, to push, to assume. When the girl is ready, lips part hesitant, she says, when you've been hurt over and over so many times, you just keep it all inside. We must be strong enough to hold up that box of tissues she will cry into, honest enough to examine the privilege we may have lived with, to understand that at 16 years old, this girl may know more about the world than we ever will. These are the lessons we learn when we listen. We become bright enough, resilient enough, smart enough, but are we tough enough? Because these work days will not be easy. Riddled with the thin line between too much compassion and keeping your cool, you will combat comments of, it must be nice to get the summers off, and erase expectations that all social workers do is take away children. Whatever your chosen profession, you have selected a lifelong mission to serve. You must be proud enough, humble enough, eager enough. You will grow to be confident enough to believe that after weeks on end, the little girl who cannot lift her own glass will get there. On your last day together, she will pour you a cup of milk, smile with the beginnings of her first adult tooth. You must be tough enough to be proud without falling to pieces as your time with her ends. As the cycle begins again, we learn, then serve, then learn. Lessons woven from textbooks to classrooms to counselor's office. We sometimes hold secrets, hear of a problem without having the resources to fix it, but we are wild enough to believe we can change it, to be advocate, to be ears that listen before mouths that preach solution. We are tough enough to face all of our own questions, to question ourselves. Are you brave enough, bold enough to be social collaborators, campus leaders, tough, not mean or rough or aggressive, but sturdy and steadfast and able to listen? We serve. And when others tell us we save, we are wise enough to know the difference.